All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm wishing you a happy Valentine's Day. And today we're going to start off, for those of you who may not have anyone to share Valentine's Day with today, with a special list of the top 5 movie girlfriends you don't want to date. You know, when it comes to movies, especially romantic movies, you always have that idea of the perfect relationship. But these movies prove that even in the best of them, that's really not the case. Now, just to be clear, we're only focusing on women, and we're only focusing on the women from romantic movies. So we're not going to be focusing on like horror girlfriends or action adventure movie girlfriends, just romantic movie girlfriends, rom-coms and rom-dramas and stuff like that. That said, we're also not focusing on the psychos or the mean girls, because obviously you're supposed to avoid those. These are supposed to be quote-unquote the good girls. But these are clearly the women you do not want to be dating if you ever find yourself in the movie universe. The first one on our list is, of course, from The Great Gatsby, Daisy. Yes, she is sweet and innocent looking and very, nice to look at, but she is deep down a gold digger. She really just wants to have her whole life taken care of. She wants to make sure that her husband is not just well off, but rich, stinking rich. And if you're not stinking rich, she will leave you as fast as she can. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to believe deep down that Daisy really did love Gatsby. That said, once he, lost his money and lost his life and lost everything else, she really wasn't willing to run away with him. She really wasn't willing to be with him unless he had that fortune that she could look after her. Daisy was the MacGuffin of the story. She was the whole purpose of the hero, Gatsby, driven to getting her and making her a part of his life. It's the only thing he wanted. Next up, we have the lady whose very name is synonymous with cheating and adultery. And that, of course, is Guinevere from the King Arthur saga. In many movies, Excalibur, Merlin, King Arthur itself, in many different incarnations, Guinevere is always the loving wife, the fairest maiden of the land, but at the same time, she's the one who cheats on her husband and pretty much, destroys the entire kingdom. So even though you might love her and she'll say she loves you, don't expect that love to last and don't expect her to be faithful for very long. Next up, we have a lady who, on the opposite side, it's one thing to cheat on your boyfriend slash husband. It's another thing to need them obsessively. And of course, we're talking about Bella Swan from the Twilight series. Yes, Bella is extremely needy and not to mention dull and not very fascinating to be with. But she just obsesses over Edward, even to the point of stringing along this other guy, Jacob, and making him think that she wants him too. So you just can't really trust Bella Swan. Next up is the movie that pretty much killed the rom-com genre for me. This is somebody who was extremely annoying, and I couldn't understand what the appeal was for Melanie Smooter from Sweet Home Alabama. She was definitely, annoying, stuck up, rude. She outed her friends, and it's not hard to imagine she's having boyfriend trouble. It's hard to imagine she has any friends at all. And what's worse, I don't know what was worse, either in the beginning when she was a stuck-up city girl who was trying to prove she was better than everyone else, or when she got her crappy Alabama accent back, sort of, and tried to act like a, country girl. Either way, it was horrible, and I cannot stand this woman at all. Finally, the number one woman you don't want to date. Let's face one reality, shall we? What a lot of these girls do is wrong. But the one thing they didn't do was kill their boyfriends. So it should be no surprise that the number one girlfriend you don't want to date from the movies is Rose from Titanic. Seriously, everyone has noted that this is the one unnecessary death in all of movie history. Jack did not have to die. He could have gone to another raft. He could have done something else instead of sitting there holding hands with Rose while he froze to death. Say anything you want about any other woman on this list, at least they didn't kill their boyfriends like she did. and so that's why she takes the top honor on my list here. Do you agree with my list? Who was the one female lead in a romantic comedy or a romantic movie that made sure that you didn't want to fall in love after seeing something like that? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, we will see you at the theaters.